So conservatively speaking, that would add an extra $4,000 to $10,000 a month in revenue.
That's free money. Describe your ideal scene in a $2 million practice. General expenses, so overhead, number of employees, and what positions do you need to get to a $2 million practice?
Yeah, so that's tough to answer because it varies from state to state. It varies from, if you have, you're like, I'll give an example. I have a client in Augusta, and she gets 15 VA patients a week, 15 VA patients a week. Right. So that's $2 million right there, just from those 15 new patients a week, because they cover everything. So if I was to open up a practice that was a combination of insurance and cash, so that's the first part, it has to be a combination of insurance and cash. It needs to be seeing 12 to 15 new patients a week. You need to have a combination of 50-50, 50% insurance, 50% cash. And then personnel, that varies. You'll have at least 2 to 3 front desk. You'll have at least 2 chiropractors. You'll have a part-time ancillary provider, either an acupuncturist or nurse practitioner. So that part of the practice is growing on its own, without the main doctor's attention on it. And your overhead for a $2 million practice, so it's collecting $160,000 a month, should be roughly between $50,000 to $60,000 a month. Yeah.
So
and also the square footage. My ideal scene is between 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. So when I open up an office, I keep it between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet. If you go above that, you're going to want to fill all the rooms, get more practitioners, go overboard, which creates, takes away from your attention units. So you want to keep it simple: 2,000 to 3,000, 12, maybe 10, 12 staff at the most.
What services?
Chiropractic, cash services like neuropathy, decompression. Decompression for sure. All my offices have decompression because if you, like, I'll give an example. Neuropathy is a great service center, but you have to market them. You have to get them from the community, drag them into the office. Decompression patients are neck pain and back pain. They just walk in the door. So decompression for sure. And then acupuncture is a great one for cash and insurance. And I know some states it doesn't get covered in most states, but if you're from Washington, Oregon, I believe Indiana as well, acupuncture gets covered extremely well. So it varies. It varies from state to state, but chiropractic, cash services like decompression, neuropathy, acupuncture is a great service center, even if it's part-time. So that would be it.
Okay. So general chiropractic services, and then in terms of niche specialty services, chiropractic, acupuncture. What about other?
And also DME. I don't want to miss that. DME is a great service center. If someone has low back pain, if they fit the Medicare LCD, you give them a brace. It avoids surgeries down the line. And almost a lot of carriers will pay for it. A lot of doctors think that you need a Medicare DME license to bill Blue Cross Blue Shield, labor and industries, if it's a work injury, PIs. You don't. You need a Medicare DME license to bill Medicare and Medicaid. So don't wait. This is a good service center to have for cervical traction, lumbar bracing, knee bracing, elbow, wrist. You want to stock all those things because the reimbursements are high.
When we would go into a clinic, when I was working with you, that would be one of the core things that we would do before adding on additional services or adding in cash or anything like that. It would be DME. That's kind of one of your go-tos. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Because how much on average do you think you add to a typical collecting $25,000 a month? How much do you think you're adding just by adding those?
It's hard to answer that because it depends on how many new patients, reactivate patients they have. But a DME pays between $400 to $1,000 a DME. So it just depends on what state you're in. If you're like Oregon is phenomenal. Like they're Medicaid with the D. Medicaid covers DME done by a chiropractor. So Oregon's probably the best state. There's a few states like that where the DME is covered extremely well. Washington's up there. I believe Indiana's up there. Alaska.
Can I? Yeah, that's right. Alaska. I've heard you say that before.
Alaska's the best. So
I've polled, I haven't done this recently, but in the past I have polled our customers just to get an idea. So if you're doing like $25,000 in collections, I've polled in the past that represents usually between 15 to 20. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 15 to 20 new patients. So if you're getting 15 to 20 new patients, $25,000 collecting cash, you come in that example, what do you think on average in total additional collections could you add?
So 15 to 20 a month, 15 to 20 new patients a month.
New patients a month.
Which is accurate. Yeah. So that's about four new patients a week. So conservatively speaking, that would add an extra $4,000 to $10,000 a month in revenue.
That's free money.
Yeah. But on top of that, you can put a really good reactivation campaign in place where you're able to, get those patients back in, get the, patients with low back pain, neuropathy in, and if they fit the criteria, the LCD, they would get fitted forward. So my ideal scene when I buy an office is, do they have 5,000 to 10,000 files already in place? Do they at least collect $20,000 a month? And do they see at least 5 to 10 new patients a week? If you have that, you can triple an office, because most offices don't really do anything. They just adjust patients, do a little bit of rehab. Most offices don't even do re-exams, which blows my mind. A re-exam is mandatory and it pays like $90 and they're done once a month. So if there's some offices that can do 3 a day, do the math, 3 a day is $7,000 a month. If you do 3 re-exams a day, it's $7,000 a month. So it's a discipline. You have to go through the schedule. You have to schedule them. You have to have a good system. You have to do like a 99213 is about 6 subjectives. You have to do 3 vitals, 5 review of systems, medical decision making, put a treatment plan in place. So it's work, but you get paid for it, and you're already there. They're
already there. It takes the value of that one up. That's $84,000 per year.
Yeah. And Sam, this is no joke. I go from state to state. I'd say 90% of offices, this is pretty accurate. 90% of offices don't do regular re-exams. They do it on a whim here and there. But there's some offices that can do like 10 or 12 a day because they have the volume for it, and they do 0 or 1.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's worth hiring someone just to help run your re-exam department. If they're seeing 5 patients a day and they're watching movies the rest of the day.
No, you're right. Even if you paid that person the $87,000, but your re-exam protocol was to ask for a referral when you were doing that, it would therefore then pay for itself above.
Yeah. Okay. Years ago, I visited Dr. Paul Constante in Kentucky, and he had a DME, like a full-time DME person. Their only job was to go through the entire schedule for the day and just basically find people that needed DME for the day, and they would so their only job, and they would fit them forward. They would match it up with the LCD, the policy, and sometimes they'd see 3 patients a day. I'm like, they're just sitting around. He's like, yeah, and to me, I was just like, that's insane. But that employer was bringing in between $1,500 to $3,000 a day, every day, 22 days a month. So, and he's like, I never want to bother them. They can do whatever they want. I know some people would disagree with that, but it made sense because he was able to generate $50,000 to $60,000 a month in extra income from this very, very part-time employee that was there 40 hours a week.
So what's interesting about this particular line of questioning, the original question was, what does a $2 million practice look like? Right. So that's $160,000 a month in recurring in revenue. Right. What does that look like in a practice? And we went through and talked about the staff and the services, but really where we've ended up is we then dialed it back down to, okay, well, if you're not at that $2 million a year, what does it then look like for the clinic hitting that glass ceiling? What can they do? And it really all starts with the free money that is sitting there waiting for you to grab it, and then take that and spin it into the next opportunity of growth. Is that pretty? And I've known you forever. That's kind of what you do. That's like your model, no?
It is, yeah. Just putting good systems in place and getting the patients better and focusing on your purpose.